What is up? We do this about every couple of weeks. This time, so that excites me. This is For Real. What is up, For Realers? It's your boy Greg, and I just want to wish you a happy new year. It's a new year for you, a new year for me, and a brand new episode of For Real Bites. Episode number 6, as a matter of fact, and that's why we jump into the new year. 2020 is over, and we're into a new 2021. Looking forward to a lot of great things that are going to happen this year. It didn't start off so great, but I think that's some residual off of 2020. Guys, how you been? How'd you spend the holiday break? Did you eat? Did you spend time with family? Did you spend time alone? Did you play games? Well, what'd you do? Drop a comment down in the comment section. Let me know how your holidays, how your new year kicked off. Do you guys have any resolutions going into 2021? I know for me, I'm looking forward to new possibilities, for new opportunities, as I found myself in 2020 reflecting on the decisions that I've made in the past. We make decisions all the time. We're decision makers. From the moment that you're born to the day that you die, you are making decisions constantly, some for better, some for worse. But decisions that we make shape our lives. And decisions that we make, we can't take back. The results of those decisions, we can't take back. It is part of our human existence. When it comes to decision making, there is a dimension that we really don't think about, especially going into the decision. And that is looking at why we make the decisions that we make. Now, you're probably wondering, GB, what you rambling about? What you talking about? Like, what does this have to do with movie industry news and reviews? Well, two of our main heavy hitters are about to embark on a journey, on a decision that needs to be made, on a decision that may change the landscape forever, for better or for worse. And my hope is that at the end of this entire rant, we have an understanding as to why they're making the decisions they're making and whether you or I think that it's going to be a good one. Now, that decision comes down to NBC Universal and Warner Media thinking about possibly merging. What? 2021, we're thinking about possible mergers between two of the biggest media companies on the planet? Now, my assumption is that this is in an effort to collaborate, to unite and conquer, especially on the landscape of streaming. Now, neither company is in any heavy hitting position in that new landscape, unlike Disney, who has burst into the top 5 worldwide. If we are to consider the Chinese companies that have a big stake in the streaming service, that's Tencent and Baidu, Disney is in that hemisphere. They're on a different plane. They've done all the things that they've expected to do for this year and last year going into this year when it comes to streaming and content procurement. However, this merger concerns me quite a bit. This merger has me thinking that it may not be the best decision. Reason why is that it seems as though it's a little second-handed. It's a little, by the way, we should probably do this to compete. It seems rushed. It seems like the why is not consistent with longevity and growth. Just based on the decisions that we make, you have a better understanding of the mentality of who you are. Now, Disney, for example, has made some major acquisitions in the past couple of years. Their acquisition of Marvel Studios, Lucasfilms, and quite recently, Fox. It was a big acquisition, $71 billion to acquire Fox and everything that they have and own. Disney made some aggressive moves where a lot of people would have been thinking, why are they doing this? I know that in 2018, when the first report came out that they were going out to acquire Fox, a lot of people were asking, why are they doing this? You don't need to buy Fox. But the fact of the matter is I think that Disney, for a while now, has seen that the industry is going in a certain direction. Probably around the time where Netflix was hitting 125 million subscribers. their guys in the lab did a little bit of math and said, hey, that might be lucrative. That might be something that we could get in touch with. And I know that we've heard Iger say that we're going in 100% on streaming and this is what we're doing. They have acquired and procured so much real estate when it comes to content. Now, Peacock and HBO Max, respectively, entered into that game, but I think it was a little soft, a little half-hearted, because Disney Plus came onto the scene with a big boom and they were going after the big dogs. This merger seems as though it is a survival tactic and not a thrival tactic. Yeah, I said thrival, it's not a word, but I made it up. Believe it. They're trying to survive in a landscape in which they're ill-equipped. Now, HBO Max, mind you, and Peacock both came out last year, roughly about 2 months apart. One in May, one in July. And they collectively have a total subscription count of 34 million subscribers, which still leaves them way behind the heavy hitters, Amazon Video, Netflix, and Disney Plus, at least in the United States. We won't even get into the Chinese companies that have over 100 million subscribers because they come from a large market. We'll get into that a little bit later. What does this merger actually do? They're still sharing the same content if they do merge and build one platform in which everyone could share a piece of the pie. But how much is that going to cost? Because each one of these programs that they have right now has its own individual cost. Probably they'll be able to lower the price. I don't know. Have better technical support, better interface. I kind of like how HBO Max runs right now. I haven't really tested Peacock all that much, but it's better than Amazon Video, I could tell you that. However, one thing that beats interface is content, and we're seeing that consistently. Disney, the amount of content that Disney could publish and push forward from that is just under the Fox banner could span 100 years easily. For the next 100 years, they have content that they could revise, that they probably have some that aren't greenlit as yet, that they probably could, touch up and move around and make certain things work, and then push it out into the ethos. They are set. They're investing and not spending. This feels like a spend to me. So in my opinion, when it comes to this merger, it's a little cold. Feels a little desperate. I hope that it's not. I hope that it is something that could propel these two, possibly making them one company into the future and give Disney a run for their money. But it doesn't seem as though that has been thought through, and that's an issue for me. I would like to see them have a little bit more thought behind what they're doing. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how it will absolutely go out, but it doesn't seem like an aggressive move. I want to see aggression, guys. I want to see takeovers. I want to see money being spent in a way that shows me that you're actually going after these big dogs. Netflix at this very moment in time, has 195 million subscribers. And if you guys want to do the math on that, they're charging people $15 a month, almost $16 a month on their subscription program. That's $16 multiplied by 195 million. I'm not even going to go into that. It's upwards of $2.2 billion a month. You think that they're not making money? You think that Disney doesn't want a piece of that pie? That's why they went hard. Because now they have just, after HBO Max, it was announced that the WB was going to release their entire slate on HBO Max, Disney just had to come out and say, we've got content too. And shout out a plethora. That's aggressive moves. Those are aggressive moves. It's so that they don't lose out on what they've already invested in. I don't think that they will, but they're not going to sit on their laurels. They're going to put everything that they can out as soon as they can in a strategic way, obviously. And they're going to do that in order to maintain their dominance. Now, when you have studios that are going up against tech companies like Amazon and Netflix Incorporated, it makes me wonder. The two industries seemed as though the tech companies came from a completely different game, and they are naturally aggressive. Disney picked up on that, became aggressive as well. Seems like the original studios were a little bit passive, which is why the Fox was so willing to sell. They weren't doing well. At least on the Fox Media side, they weren't doing well. And Disney became aggressive, just like the tech companies. They adapted to their new environment. And in my next story, adaptation is the key here. Adaptation is what's going to either survive or thrive the Hollywood film industry in other parts of the world. Which part of the world am I talking about? Well, let's head out east. There are some concerns that Hollywood films may not bounce back in 2021 in China. The concern is that US studios that have taken a small amount of the Chinese theater pie in 2020 that makes up generally roughly in comparison they kind of do about 30%, 25 to 30% in China in previous years. However, last year they were only able to acquire 10% of the Chinese market. Now, there's some obvious reasons as to why that happened last year. There was not much content to go around. Films were getting pushed back, dropping directly to streaming services and whatnot. So theater box office numbers in China for Hollywood films has been at an all-time low. Now, also, they had the lockdown for the pandemic and whatnot, and that's understandably so. However, this is not something that we could take lightly. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Mr. James Lee, who's co-founder of Beijing-based film market research firm Faninc, is worried that this is the part that got me. He is worried that the US executives have slipped into the trap of assuming that the whole world has shut down because Hollywood has. Now, this to me speaks more to, or at least it indicates, that Hollywood has not been putting their best foot forward in other markets. Their marketing dollars have been focused almost solely domestically, and the efforts outside are not there. The expectation is that Hollywood is the king of cinema. Now, we have seen films outside of the United States are doing well, and the quality of those films are getting higher because of technology. People are doing well with the technology that they have. So I think that this could be a fair warning that Hollywood might be in trouble if they sit on their laurels. Now, with companies like Disney. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not exalting Disney as, oh my gosh, they're the best. It's just based on what I've observed. What could I see happening next? If traditional Hollywood is not going to release films in theaters over there, I could see someone like Amazon dropping quality content for that market because Amazon is everywhere. And when it comes down to the film game, they're moving with the same level of aggression, like we talked about before in the last story, as they would in their tech game. So it comes down to that. Hollywood needs to not sit on their laurels. You have been the mecca of the film industry for a very long time, but now you're not the only one. China is an enormous market. The Asian market is huge. China alone has 2.2 billion or 2.4 billion people residing there. The United States has only 330 million. What's the percentage that you're going to take out of that? If you lose the Chinese market, and even if at a 40% cut, say if only 40% of the people in China or 30% of the people in China decide to watch movies and they choose Hollywood films as their yearly consumption, that's still going to be way more than if the entire United States decided to go watch Hollywood films. Now, not all Hollywood films make it over to China. We understand. There is a preference, and obviously you have to do your research as to what's being sent over there. But it makes sense to try and hold on to these ties that we have in foreign markets because China is a heavy hitter in terms of consumer dollars. And it showed when the two major markets here in the United States were shut down since March. The decisions that we make, guys, the decisions that we make ultimately create the future that we want for ourselves. Now, we could say that, that we could use the pandemic as an excuse for the things that aren't coming true to us. Or we can make the decision to not make excuses, to own up to the things that we fall short on and start making better decisions for the future. Start going after things a little bit more aggressively. Start making up for holding ourselves accountable for the decisions that we make today. So I know in 2021, I'm looking at new possibilities. I'm looking at decision making and how I could make better decisions for myself and for you guys on this program. Guys, thank you so much for another wonderful week of For Real. I missed you. I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad that you're taking a listen. And I can't wait to see you on the next one.